Before starting work on a Wetherby Epsitherm 7 brick slip system, a U-value should be calculated for the existing property structure and a suitable insulation material and thickness selected to satisfy any design criteria and current building regulations. Pull-out tests are also required. These measure the pull-out strength of a fixing, assessing its suitability for the substrate, and ensures the correct loading design. Only then is it possible to determine the appropriate fixing type, length, and number per square metre required. A Wetherby specification should always be sourced for further information on materials and application methods to be used. Copies of Wetherby detail drawings for the Epsitherm 7 system should also be obtained to ensure all details are correctly installed. Before applying external wall insulation directly to a masonry or rendered surface, brush down the substrate to remove any friable material, algae or lichen, and, where required, apply Wetherby's biocidal wash in preparation for the new works. Any full-depth surface profiles should be firmly attached and a suitable base rail installed at approximately 150 mm above ground level. Take care not to bridge the damp-proof course. The base rail profile type is determined by the insulation thickness and should be installed at a maximum of 300 mm centres and 50 mm from each end, using approved Wetherby fixings. Where verge trims are required, these must be installed in accordance with the Wetherby specification, including a sealing tape and silicone sealant to ensure the system is protected. The verge trim must be cut and bent into place at the gable apex to prevent an exposed joint at this point. Place the first insulation board on the base rail at a corner of the building, flush to the perpendicular wall. This should be secured with the approved Wetherby mechanical fixings determined by the pull-out test at a rate of 5 per board, in accordance with the Wetherby fixing pattern included in the project specification. Continue to place additional boards, ensuring a staggered laying pattern is adhered to, with all boards interleaved at external corners. The protruding edge can be easily trimmed using a saw. All boards must be tightly butted together to eliminate thermal breaks, with door and window openings easily formed by shaping the insulation boards around the corners. Where window openings allow, to prevent cold bridging, a thinner insulation board can be used on window and door reveals and finished to match the walls. Corner beads should be cut to length prior to applying the scrim adhesive and laid to one side. Once the insulation boards have been fully installed, Wetherby scrim adhesive should be thoroughly mixed to a pliable consistency for 3 to 5 minutes. This should then be left to settle for approximately 5 minutes and remixed to break the set before use. Apply the scrim adhesive over the insulation to a depth of 4 to 6 mm. Once all of the insulation is covered, a notched trowel should be run horizontally over the entire wall in preparation for the alkali-resistant reinforcing mesh. The alkali-resistant mesh should be bedded into the top third of the scrim adhesive, with the mesh kept taut and smoothed from the top down. Make sure that the mesh runs into all render beads and reveals, as this will help to fully protect the system. Trowel over the adhesive to ensure the mesh is fully adhered. Adjacent layers of mesh should have a minimum overlap of 75 mm, with no overlaps to be placed within 150 mm of any reveal or corner. Any offcuts should be resized to 200 by 200 mm patches and used as additional stress patches for corner reinforcements. These should be bedded in at 45 degrees to all window and door openings to prevent hairline cracking. Lightly embed the corner beads into the wet scrim adhesive. Before the scrim adhesive sets, lightly scratch the surface with a scratch comb to provide a key and allow the base coat to dry completely. Epsitherm 7 slips should be applied to the base coat within 2 weeks to ensure the best possible condition for application. If the base coat is left longer than this, it needs to be inspected to ensure it is in a suitable condition before any attempt is made to install the brick slips. Starting at the windowsill edge, plumb down and mark from the window jamb to the base of the system using a spirit level. Measure across to the nearest external corner, marking the position of the slips. Assess where cuts are required and the subsequent width of the vertical pointing joints. Bricks can simply be cut to size using a bench saw or standard tile cutter. Taking into account the size of the elevation being worked on, mix a batch of Wetherby's brick slip adhesive to a pliable consistency, leaving to settle for approximately 5 minutes and then remix before use. Butter the back of the first pistil corner and install this to the base of the system. Continue by buttering the back of each brick slip, installing the first course to the guides marked out on the base coat from the pistil corner. When applying slips and pistils, it's good practice to use Wetherby spacers to ensure even mortar joints and to keep the courses line and level. Build up the system from the first course, ensuring spacing and cutting remains consistent. A level or straight edge should be used to ensure the slips are installed completely plain. Leave a 5mm gap at window reveals to allow for expansion or movement in the window frame. Remember to remove spacers before the adhesive sets so that they can be removed without disturbing the slips. Leave the brick slips to set for approximately 48 hours. Once completely set, mix the pointing mortar and apply using a pointing gun. Smooth out the joints using a pointing trowel to the desired style. When the wall is completely dry, a stiff brush can be used to remove any excess mortar. Be sure to clean off any material that may have accidentally splashed on adjacent surfaces, including the brick face. Wetherby products can be very difficult to remove once set and contain pigments which may stain if left to dry. Apply Wetherby EvoStick 25-year silicone sealant around openings, at system abutments, and to all areas required to ensure no water ingress occurs. Your Epsitherm 7 insulated render system is complete. Wetherby, creating a greener future.